Loss is one of the most difficult things that we deal with as humans. It can absolutely wreck our lives. Everything from our ability to feel good, feel like ourselves, perform in daily tasks, function, the overall quality of everything can just be absolutely destroyed. Now, loss is loss in whatever form it shows up in, but in this video, I'm going to be honing in on particularly the ending of a romantic relationship. So here are 5 reasons why it might be extra difficult for you to move on from an old partner. So number 1, you are still energetically linked to them. This is so common and yet so overlooked because a lot of us really weren't taught energy. We were taught that there's no such thing as energy. But what happens when we romantically engage with somebody is we become very, very enmeshed. We can completely fuse with the other person. And then when we separate, of course, it's going to be difficult. Of course, we're going to feel pain because our whole life is now different. Someone that was always there is now not there. We're very sad. All of these responses are normal, but sometimes this pain can linger for far longer than it needs to. And the reason is because you're still energetically linked with their energy field. So you're literally walking around with them, still in your space, even though they're physically not there. And they may be walking around with a part of you. So it's very important to understand how energy works and how you can actually sever ties and cords with them and reclaim yourself. The number 2 reason, we haven't healed underlying grief that we have from childhood. Now, we may feel significantly abandoned or have felt significantly abandoned by a primary caretaker. Now, this could come from an actual death, or it could just come from someone being exceptionally moody and them being there one minute and not being there the next. It could come from a parent having to work a lot. As children, this can create an abandonment wound that has the same energy as loss. So there's an intense grief that we still have. And so anytime we separate from anybody, we have that wound triggered. I know as an old soul, and I know old souls will relate to this, my whole life, it's getting much better now because I've done so much work on it. Anytime anything ended, I would just feel like destroyed. I would just feel so deeply depressed because there were so many like past wounds of having lost people that I never fully resolved, that if I would hang out with someone for 4 hours at their house and then go home, I'd feel like someone died because the hangout was over. So this is somewhere you might want to look, particularly when it comes to your childhood, as far as like where those grief and loss wounds maybe came from. The third reason, and this is getting back a little bit to what I was just talking about, is a more esoteric reason. So one of the reasons that we can have such a hard time moving on from an old partner is, yes, because you're still energetically linked, but it's also because there may be past lives that you have with them and things that have not been resolved on that level. So it's not just as simple as separating your energy in present time with the version of them that you just dated or were married to. It comes down to times that you were with them before. Now, I can't tell you how many times this has been a primary factor for me and how much relief I have experienced from clearing up my past life dynamics with people that I meet. Because when you have a long-standing history with somebody, and you'll kind of know, because when you meet them, you'll just be like, I know this person. I don't know how I know them. I just feel like I know them. And it's because you do know them. When you have a long-standing history with them, there will be many past experiences where somebody left or you left or somebody died or whatever. And so then when you separate this time, all of that is coming up as well. So it's really important to start to become aware of these things, especially if you just can't let go, because this can significantly resolve that pain. The number 4 reason why you might be having a hard time letting go of an old partner is you're avoiding taking a step on your own because you're afraid. This is very common. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We all do it. I've done it. But, we can feel like we need a certain amount of support in order to take steps for ourselves. And we kind of do need support. We do. We do need friends. We do need connection. Like, there's this sort of belief in the spiritual community where, like, if you're really aligned with God, you won't ever need anyone and anything, and all you'll need is God. Well, you do need to have a connection to source first, absolutely, but we also need other people. However, a lot of us can err on the side of maybe needing somebody else to support us too much, and there may just be a big fear of kind of going out on your own and finding your own sovereignty and your own power. And so the person that you were with almost becomes at some point like a distraction or a way to avoid like taking those steps that you need to take. But you'll find that when you realize this, as soon as you start to take those steps, it will probably begin to release and clear up if that's the primary reason. And the fifth reason why it can be extra difficult to move on is because we're bored. Pretty simply, we're just bored. We don't know what else to do. We don't know what we want to do. Maybe it's because, like I said in the last one, we're afraid, but maybe it's just because we're confused. We don't know our purpose. And so we lose ourselves in other people. We lose ourselves in connection. Connection's amazing. Connection is important. But when we don't have our own sovereign, mission or reason for being here, or things that fill us up, we will very easily just kind of dwell on whatever it is that made us feel love, because it's almost better to feel like the longing than nothing or just pure boredom. So I would invite you, if you are having trouble moving on, at looking at like, what is your purpose? Do you know? Like, do you have a sense? Are you following it? Is that something that's missing from your life? Because not only will purpose totally change how you feel about yourself, it will also change your dynamic in relationships, because you'll be more attractive, you'll be more magnetic, because you are now aligned with your own soul and mission. So you'll still have a connection, but you won't necessarily need someone as much in order to feel good. So these are a few reasons you can look at. There's many more. For anybody who's interested in getting a little bit more into the esoteric reasons, like past life stuff and being energetically linked, I'm going to be teaching a class on how to do energy work to move on from past partnerships. It's going to be coming up in a couple weeks. I'll give more details in my upcoming YouTube videos. Other than that, thank you so much. I always appreciate everybody who watches my videos, and I look forward to next time. Bye-bye.